And once again, I want to say greetings to each and every one of you, Aquaba, and welcome. Welcome to another round of the Conscious Roster Report here on LIB Radio, LIB TV, and on livinginblack.com. My name is Kedia Wadu, aka The Conscious Roster. Weekday mornings, you and I get together live. We come at you from 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's 12 noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. GMT, and 8 p.m. East Africa time. We get together with you and we deal with culture, consciousness, historical perspectives. We deal with entertainment, economics, education, health, labor, law, politics, religion, family, conflict, future studies, all areas of human interactivity and development. Today's date is Tuesday, the 7th of October, 2025 in the Gregorian calendar. Western calendars corresponds to the year 6266 in the Kemetic calendar, to which we have realigned our cultural clock. Welcome to the 7th millennium. You have found your family in a peaceful place here on LIB Radio, LIB TV, and on livinginblack.com. Let me tell you what we have for today's program. I hope you are excited about what it is we have to share. Let me tell you what we have got going on. Today's program theme is disconnecting from the sickness matrix. Disconnecting from the sickness matrix. Today, we discuss the concept of the sickness matrix, which is a metaphorical framework that critiques how modern societies, especially in the U.S. and other industrialized nations, approach health and sickness. It suggests that we are collectively trapped within a system that prioritizes disease management over true wellness, much like the fictional Matrix in the 1999 film, where people unknowingly live in a controlled illusion. Our task is to escape and then free our loved ones. Our task is to escape and then free our loved ones. I've got a lot of research on the table, not too much. It's maybe going to be a little shorter program than what we're used to here on LIB Radio. I do hope that you find this to be compelling. Be honest with you, I am disconnected from the sickness matrix. I am not on that merry-go-round. And I suggest all of us consider the following points about how we can escape. I'm going to give you the highlights here, and then we're going to go into details. We're talking about today escaping the sickness maintenance. One of the first key ideas behind the sickness maintenance is health as disease avoidance. Health as disease avoidance. The matrix frames health narrowly, focusing on avoiding or treating disease rather than promoting vitality, function, and holistic well-being. Institutional orthodoxy. Now I'm going to take all of these and pan these out a little bit. The main themes: institutional orthodoxy, governments, healthcare providers, mass media, schools, and employers often operate under outdated assumptions, reinforcing reactive care models and pharmaceutical dependence. 3.3 Longevity versus quality of life. While life expectancy has increased, many people spend decades in poor health, physically limited, cognitively impaired, and emotionally disconnected. Point 4, mental, social, and spiritual health. These three dimensions are often sidelined, yet they are deeply interconnected with physical health and absolutely essential for thriving as humans. Point four, or next point, not point four, point five it is, empowerment and literacy. Escaping the sickness matrix demands that individuals become informed, proactive, and engaged in their own health journey, not just passive patients. And there are just too many people who are just passively going along with what is happening in the world. I do say greetings to you. I see you in the house. For Africa One, my sister from the UK. It's a pleasure to have you today. She says, Hotep, Brother Keaty, and Global LIB family. What a joy it is to have you with us today. As always, we do appreciate, love you in the house. And what can I say? You are all of that, sis, and even more. We continue. We're talking today about escaping from the sickness maintenance. We're up to the theme. Here, wait a minute. Let me mute this. That's me talking. I monitor the system in the background, but I don't want to hear me talk. We talked about institutional orthodoxy. Next, we did talk about longevity versus quality of life, mental, social, and spiritual health. Two more main themes. Then we're going to go into details about all of these. I think it's number 6, empowerment and literacy. Escaping the matrix requires individuals to become informed, proactive, and engaged in their own health journey. We cover that. And not just passive agents. And the last point, there are modifiable drivers of health. Most determinants of health, like nutrition, sleep, exercise, detoxification, our management of our breath, our mindfulness of what we're consuming, water, rest, exercise, these modifiable drivers of health and purpose exist outside the conventional healthcare system, and yet they are within our control. Let me talk about this. When we are interfaced with the system will give us instructions and they will participate. But most of these modifiable drivers of health, we are not, to the best of our abilities, taking control over them. And I'm going to highly recommend we do take control over these modifiable drivers of health. So this framework encourages a radical shift from treating symptoms to cultivating resilience, from institutional dependency to personal agency. So that is the shift. That is the key to escape the matrix. From treating symptoms to cultivating resilience, resistance. From institutional dependency to personal agency. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And I am the engineer of my own health matrix. Let's go a little deeper into these various keys. And I do welcome your feedback, your conversation. Love to hear what you have to say on this topic today. First of all, we're going to talk about health as disease avoidance. The health as disease avoidance mindset reduces wellness to a checklist of screenings, vaccinations, and symptom management rather than a broader pursuit of function, vitality, and flourishing. When healthcare is primarily reactive, systems reward detecting pathology and prescribing interventions instead of fostering behaviors that prevent decline and enhance daily capacity. This perspective allows conversations to risks and deficits, blood pressure numbers, cholesterol levels, tumor markers, while neglecting how people feel, move, sleep, work, and connect. Clinically measurable metrics become proxies for health, which obscures the subjective experiential dimensions that determine quality of life. Let me repeat that sentence, a very good sentence. Clinically measurable metrics become proxies for health, which obscures the subjective experiential dimensions that determine quality of life. Shifting away from avoidance requires reframing goals from, quote, not being sick unto, or quote unquote, not being sick, to being able to do meaningful activities with energy and clarity. Prevention still matters, but it becomes integrated with promotion, designing environments, policies, and routines that make healthy choices easy and rewarding. Making healthy choices easy and rewarding. That's a very important point. This includes urban planning for walkability, workplace norms that protect sleep, schools that teach food literacy, and primary care that prioritizes lifestyle counseling. When institutions promote competence and resilience rather than only risk reduction, individuals gain agency to cultivate sustained well-being and reduce long-term healthcare dependency. And ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to cultivate sustained well-being and reduce long-term healthcare dependency. I'm very proud to say that at this stage of my life, I am independent of the healthcare system. And I love it like that. Institutional orthodoxy. Institutional orthodoxy describes how large organizations, from medical schools, hospitals, insurers, and regulators, adopt entrenched practices and incentives that resist novel approaches, even when evidence mounts for alternatives. We got plenty of evidence for alternatives to this system, people. Training programs emphasize acute care, pharmacology, and procedural skills because these are measurable, billable, and fit established curricula. Administrative systems then reinforce these priorities through reimbursement models, performance metrics, and research funding that favor short-term interventions over long-term behavioral or environmental strategies. This creates feedback loops where innovation struggles to scale and practitioners hesitate to deviate from the accepted norms. I see a comment has come in for Africa One writes, a highly accomplished brother with high blood pressure balked and physically backed away from me when I told him about living superfood as a cure. My people, my people. Yeah. And I hope you could tell him also, if you talk to this brother again, if he speaks to you again, that it only takes 5 days to get off your blood pressure medicine. Only takes 5 dedicated days to nothing but living superfood. I have a client right now, and she's on Living Superfood every day. She says, I'm not deviating. She's staying with us. She's got a number of problems, some serious. I think she may have a case of fibromyalgia or something like that. It's real persistent. She gets a lot of pain. She's allergic to so many foods. And the beautiful thing about it is the program works. She keeps coming back. I talk to her every couple of days I see her. And I talk to her, how you feeling today? She says, I keep coming back because this program worked and I am getting better. I may have underestimated the size of the problem she was dealing with in the beginning. Now I do understand it, and we're working. But yeah, Living Superfood as a cure. Ask him if the blood pressure medicine he's taking is curing the blood pressure, or is it merely suppressing the symptoms of hypertension? Thank you for your comment. We appreciate you, love you in the house. Going back, we are still on this institutional orthodoxy. Orthodoxy is not merely conservatism. It is structural. New models like community-based prevention, social prescribing, or integrative care encounter barriers such as credentialing limits, fragmented data systems, and financial mechanisms that penalize time spent on counseling. Overcoming this requires coordinated reform, aligning payment to outcomes that matter to people, aligning payment to outcomes that matter to people, redesigning education to include systems thinking and behavioral sciences, and creating cross-sector partnerships that redistribute expertise. Cross-sector partnerships that redistribute expertise. I like that. When institutions adopt adaptive learning cultures, rewarding experimentation and centering lived experience, they can pivot from protocol-driven care to personalized, context-aware strategies that better address population health. The next key thing we're going to talk about is longevity versus quality of life. The growing gap between longevity and quality of life highlights that simply extending years does not guarantee those years are healthy, autonomous, or meaningful. Medical advances have pushed average life expectancy upward, but many people live longer with chronic pain, multi-morbidity, cognitive decline, and functional limitations that diminish everyday agency. Public conversation and policy often celebrate lifespan gains while underinvesting in interventions that preserve independence, mobility, and social participation across aging. As a result, extended survival can translate into prolonged dependency and healthcare consumption rather than sustained well-being. And a classic example of that is the diabetic and the hypertensive, the existence of dialysis clinics. They are sustaining your life, but only to be a pawn in the matrix. Whereas quality of life would have you not having to deal with dialysis. Dialysis is extremely disruptive. Not having you deal with the diabetic losing their limbs because of the diabetes. The quality of life would be to get rid of the diabetes, which, according to everything I know and have done, diabetes can be reversed. Type 2 adult onset diabetes mellitus can be reversed in anywhere from 14 to 30 days. But you got to have the will for it. You got to have the discipline for it. Prioritizing quality of life reframes goals for aging, maintaining physical function, cognitive engagement, emotional resilience, and social embeddedness. Practical investments include community-based rehabilitative programs, age-friendly urban design, caregiver support, preventive geriatric care, and technologies that enhance autonomy. Clinicians can shift treatment goals from disease-specific targets to patient-centered outcomes like pain control, fall prevention, and meaningful activity. Policymakers must also account for economic and social structures. Let me repeat. Policymakers must also account for economic and social structures, pension schemes, housing, transportation, that determine whether extra years are lived with dignity. Valuing life years by their quality changes where resources flow and what success looks like in a health system. The next subject, very, very important, mental and social as well as spiritual health. Mental, social, and spiritual health. Mental, social, and spiritual dimensions are often siloed away from biomedical care. Yet they fundamentally shape resilience, disease trajectories, and recovery. Mental health disorders like depression or anxiety after physiological stress responses, immune function, and health behaviors, increasing vulnerability to chronic disease. I'm going to repeat that. Mental health disorders like depression or anxiety after physiological stress responses, immune function, and health behaviors increase vulnerability to chronic disease. Let me correct that. Increase vulnerability to chronic disease. Social determinants, relationships, stable housing, economic security, community belonging. These social determinants drive much of population health variance. Spiritual or existential well-being provides meaning, coping frameworks, and motivation that influence adherence, lifestyle choices, and end-of-life preferences. Tracking these domains as optional extras undermines comprehensive care. So by taking all of these different aspects of our whole being, fragmenting them, and merely just tracking them using metrics and measurements and gauges, watches, and all of that, that's not the real deal. That's not real health. That undermines your comprehensive health. But integrating these dimensions means expanding clinical models to include routine psychosocial screening. How many of us have ever had that? Social care, navigation, and support for purpose-driven living. Health teams can incorporate counselors, community health workers, and faith or community leaders into care pathways. Interventions that strengthen social ties, group programs, peer support, community centers have measurable health returns. Training clinicians to discuss values and meaning improves shared decision making and reduces unnecessary interventions at the end of life. A holistic system recognizes patients as whole persons embedded in relationships and culture, where mental, social, and spiritual health are central targets for promoting durable well-being, where mental, social, and spiritual health are central targets for promoting durable well-being. That is the outcome of us all participating in a holistic system. Next, we're talking about empowerment and literacy. And this is very, very important. Empowerment and health literacy transform patients from passive recipients into informed partners who can navigate systems, evaluate trade-offs, and adopt sustainable habits. Low literacy and asymmetric information give disproportionate power to institutions and providers, including the insurance companies, are involved in determining what you can do, what they will pay for your health. But wait a minute, didn't you pay them all along? Yeah, it's gotten out of control. Low literacy and asymmetric information give disproportionate power to institutions and providers, increasing the likelihood of over-treatment, underuse of preventative strategies, and poor adherence. Empowerment involves not only conveying facts, but building skills, interpreting data, asking actionable actions, or pursuing actionable questions. Again, let me get that. Asking actionable questions and pursuing actionable habits. Negotiating your care plans and advocating for community resources. Literate, empowered individuals make choices aligned with their values and their circumstances. All of the above improves outcomes and patient satisfaction. And the patient satisfaction, there's only one measure of patient satisfaction, if you ask me, and that is longevity and sustained wellness. We're talking about now operationalizing empowerment. Operationalizing empowerment requires redesigning communications, incentives, and access. Health education should be culturally tailored, actionable, and integrated into schools, workplaces, and community settings. Providers need training in plain language communication, shared decision-making, and coaching techniques. Tools, decision aids, transparent costs, and outcome data navigators can lower the barriers. Policy levers, such as mandating clear drug labeling or supporting community health worker programs, scale impact. When citizens understand risks, benefits, and alternatives, they can demand system accountability and co-create solutions that align services with genuine needs rather than default protocols. Among these modifiable drivers of health including nutrition, physical activity, sleep, stress management, social connection, and environment. These all account for the majority of preventable disease burden. Yet, they sit largely outside the clinical encounter. These upstream factors interact with genetics and healthcare to determine trajectories across the life course. Interventions that reshape daily environments, such as improving food systems, designing walkable neighborhoods, reducing pollution, and supporting secure employment. These produce outsized returns compared with episodic medical treatments. Focusing on these drivers emphasizes prevention, equity, and population level impact, and actionable strategies. These include policy changes, such as soda taxes or zoning for active transport, workplace norms that protect rest and reduce burnout, school-based nutrition and movement programs, and community investments in green spaces and social infrastructure. These are all actionable strategies. I don't know what the status is, but when we were growing up, the school-based physical exercise, PE programs, were a lot stronger than they are today. From my understanding, it could be there was a time when they kind of backed off of the PE programs, and then I think they may have brought them back or whatever. But PE, physical education, was very useful, very important in those days, although the teachers knew only so much. It wasn't until well out of high school and well away from public education that I got a chance to learn about things such as, what do they call it? Periodic fasting, or not periodic fasting. What's it called? Fasting? Intermittent fasting. I never heard the term in school. I never heard the term HIIT, high impact interval training. My phys ed coaches never ever talked to us about getting sleep, about the function of brain-derived neurotrophic factor and its relationship to high-fat, high-sugar diets. In fact, they knew nothing about nutrition. So when we're talking about designing these intervention trajectories across the course of life, we cannot and should not ignore what is happening in the schools. These upstream factors interact with genetics and healthcare to determine trajectories across life course. I read that. Actionable strategies. Healthcare can amplify these efforts through prescriptions for lifestyle interventions, partnership with local organizations, and reimbursement for preventive care. Measurement could, would, should shift toward functional and social outcomes, not only clinical biomarkers. By reorienting resources to modify daily contexts and behaviors, societies can reduce chronic disease prevalence, lower healthcare costs, and enable people to lead fuller, healthier lives. And I would say longer lives as well. There are two books I have on my shelf I want to introduce you to, if you haven't already been introduced to them. And I got a lot of orders this past week for the book Living Superfood Solutions, and I want to thank you all for your support. That is a super book. It really is. It talks about getting rid of at least 22 common chronic diseases and replacing them with optimal health. And that's ideally what we do want to do. So I want to give you just the introduction to these two books I have in my hands. This one is Living Superfood Longevity. And then there is the other one, which is Living Superfood. No, it's 100 plus lifespan. Now, again, when I was in school, these topics were not even brought up. And I personally think they should be brought up much earlier in our education. Living Superfood Longevity. The back cover reads, Mastering the Possibilities of High Quality Life Extension. High quality life extension is so much about quality living itself. You are most likely reading this book for the purpose of learning more about the many secrets to perfect health, senior vitality, and extending your lifespan. Longevity is a blessing that you not only get to enjoy for yourself, but your spouse, siblings, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, associates, community, township, and nation all have the chance to celebrate your longevity along with you. Everything that contributes to this joie de vivre, this joy of life, is what I hope you will gain as the main takeaway from reading this book. As well, I intend to show by a living example that what I am offering to you is one of life's greatest and most rewarding outcomes. Don't get sick, stay off drugs, and live a long time. That's a good combination, isn't it? Living Superfood Longevity is the name of that book. And then I recently, this was in 2023, produced this book, 100 Plus Lifespan Strategies to Increase Healthy Life Expectancy. Let me share with you the introduction from the back cover of 100 Plus. Strategies to increase healthy life expectancy. Multiple consortiums are pursuing what is predicted to swell to a $15 trillion investment in longevity R&D over the near future. I said $15 trillion investment. Scientists are pursuing this initiative through biotech, genetic engineering, expensive lab procedures, and drug therapies. On the contrary, more practicable holistic pathways exist to achieve desired longevity, being much more affordable, non-invasive, natural strategies. Understanding these often contradictory pronouncements on the means of extending life can be tough. Yet, for students of longevity research, we frequently obtain useful insights from health magazines, medical journals, news stories, marketing releases, drug promotions, social media, and even casual conversations all suggest a spectrum of life-extending tips. Not all of these are grounded in solid principles of the scientific confirmation. So where should one seek sound advice? How skeptical should one be amid so much questionable advice? Healthy lifespan has been a fascinating study for me over the past 4 decades since I worked in a biosciences laboratory. Within this book, I have assembled the most comprehensive list ever published of longevity insights and strategies. I hope many people will take these easily comprehensible suggestions to heart and use these insights to form new lifestyle habits. This change will transform our lives and impact our larger circle of loved ones who need us to be the models of graceful aging. I often say, old habits die hard, but new habits form quickly. Healthy longevity is good for the wise and vital sage, their family and friends, community, and practical life affairs. This journey begins when you convince yourself that you deserve to manifest 100 plus years of a healthy lifespan. In my opinion, the fact that you have chosen to read this study indicates that you certainly do deserve that healthy life expectancy. And this book, I love the book. I love the way I wrote it. I do talk about the genetics of lifespan. I do review the book by David A. Sinclair, Lifespan, Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to. That's in Appendix 4. Appendix 3 is to meat or not to eat, meaning, are humans natural meat eaters? I say no. The best evidence is no. We talk about longevity in animals, and then Appendix 1 is 161 points on inflammatory diseases. 161 inflammatory diseases by name. That's a very powerful list. And also in this book, there's another list, and it is a 100 plus lifespan master blueprint. 100 plus lifespan blueprint checklist. 68. I'm just going to go in at one point, give you 3 or 4 of them. 68. Engage in an anti-parasitic cleanse at least 1 to 4 times a year. People are shocked when they discover that most of us carry parasites that steal from our vital energy, spread throughout all the body systems, and persist within our digestive tract and other organs for decades without our notice. Deworming our pets is recommended twice a year. However, pet owners do not realize that they can often share parasites with pets. For me, quarterly parasite cleansing is necessary, especially during an acute inflammatory crisis. Herbs common to anti-parasitic formulas include cloves, sweet wormwood, black walnut, oregano oil, garlic, Tribulus mimosa, pudica, worm seed, grapefruit seeds, neem, and passion flower. Several foods are also effective as combating parasites. Several foods are also effective at combating parasites, including dandelion, turmeric, ginger, lemons and limes, Paul d'Arco, parsley, and raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar. Getting rid of worms. And I do a lot of those. I'm doing anti-worm technique. Really just finished it as part of my quarterly detox. That was number 68. Number 50. Do not subject your body to harmful medical practices, including gamma radiation, chemotherapies that block cell replication, unnecessary surgeries, and pain-killing drugs such as opioids. I'm going to give you 2 more of these. If you want to pick a number, just mention a number, and I'll read that one too. These are 106 strategies. I think there's 106 of them. Let me see. There's 95, 106 strategies to extend your healthy lifespan. So pick a number. I'll read that one. I'll read number 41. Engage in 1 or more mind-body therapies, many of which have a long record of effectiveness. These include yoga, meditation, tai chi, martial arts, Reiki, hypnosis, and cognitive behavioral therapy. And I would also add to that Qigong, which is almost like Tai Chi, but it is different from Tai Chi. Qigong. So anybody have a number you want me to read here? I'm going to go into, nobody's talking to me on YouTube today. That's okay. If you can, hit the like button. That will at least let the algorithm there know that you are listening. And for Africa One, I would recommend school gardens from nursery to high schools and beyond. That's a wonderful, wonderful suggestion. My friend Jenna, that's what she does. Is she not Jenna? Is it Jenna? Yeah, Jen. She builds these school gardens. Jennifer is her name. And that's her full-time career here in Las Vegas, going from school to school, building these gardens. It's a wonderful, wonderful idea. And I actually helped her rebuild her garden. So that's a beautiful thing. I'm going to give you one more of these. If nobody has any one that they want, I'm going to go into number 32. Exercise daily with moderate to intense workouts totaling at least 150 minutes weekly. One particular technique, high impact interval training, HIIT, is especially good for sustaining youthful vitality and activating longevity genetics. With HIIT, one engages in bursts of high energy, high impact workouts for a limited time, then slows down for a recovery period. My HIIT routine includes fast-paced walking for 90 seconds, followed by 30 seconds of running at or near full speed. I repeat this 2-minute cycle 10 times for a workout. And that's one of the things that I do every day. I go outside. I leave the house at 6:40, almost exactly. It's time to the minute. And I engage in 20 minutes of HIIT. It's 2 circles around this long block inside of the gated community that I live. And that is about 1.5 miles. I do that 2 times, and I am ready for my day to begin. But that's after waking up at 6 o'clock and engaging in, right now, it's a half hour of core exercises. The reason it's a little bit longer right now is usually 20 minutes, but now I am in 3 weeks. Today I completed 3 weeks of my autumn equinox detox. And so therefore I expand my reps on my core exercises. Today I have noticed in the past couple of days my neck has been rather stiff, and today I finally caught what was making my neck stiff, is that when I'm doing my sit-ups, I come down hard on my neck. And after doing sit-ups today, I just limited to 100 sit-ups. Otherwise, today I would have done 195 sit-ups, which incorporates the 21 days of the detox fast. I did get a request for a number from For Africa One. She says, read me number 57. You got it. She says, give me number 57. 57, find joy and practice. Find joy in and practice music and the arts. These creative arts help to keep stress levels low while boosting the feel-good hormones. One way to avoid adrenal fatigue, which results from constantly being in fight or flight mode, is to allow yourself to be mentally satisfied with creative pleasantries. These can also include dance, visual arts, handicrafts, and all manners of gentle creativity. And one thing I have been doing recently is listening to meditation music. And I do this in the early afternoons as I'm preparing to do my push-ups routine. Now, my push-ups routine is a bit engaging, and I'm not necessarily going to suggest anyone do this. Whatever you do, don't jump into it. But as of yesterday, my push-up routine was 350 plus 250 plus 100. I think that was it yesterday. 350 in the first set, that's no pause. 250 in the second set, no pause. And then 100 others to top that. It might have been only 2 yesterday, because many days, if I break 600 with 2 sets, there's no need for me to do any more. But that's how we roll around here. So get your meditation, but get your mind set right. And what I do is I play these African meditational videos. They're about an hour long, and I just use that whole hour to just relax. And what I do is I use it to relax my body. Then I do qigong, not qigong, tai chi for a few minutes to get ready to do my first set of push-ups. I'll just pause the video. No, actually leave the video going and do my push-ups through that. 350, that's a lot. Now I'm considering doing another 70, no, I'd have to do 100 to break my record, 101 from 350. So 350 is quite a bit. And it does cause me a little bit of lingering stress, so I have to be very careful up in those numbers. And but hey, it feels good. We're going to wrap it up for today. I hope you have enjoyed what we shared. You can get the book 100 Plus Lifespan. It is available. We'd love it. You can get the book. You can get the books 100 Plus Lifespan and Living Superfood Longevity Master, and not that, Master the Possibilities of High Quality Longevity, of a high quality lifespan, not of high quality life extension. That's it. Sorry about that. I'm typing rather slowly today. And that's at http semicolon double slash forward slash Keedy.biz forward slash CRP 2012. So that's where you can get that book from. I typed 5212. It's not 52, it's 2012. You can get the books Living Superfood Lifespan, and I'm going to put up the link here, and I'm going to put it up on the YouTube chat, and that will get you into it. And I'm going to encourage each and every one of you, can we get you to hit the like button before we leave here today? Shabaka joining us in the house. Greetings, Baba and LIB family. Thank you for helping us to get our health in a great place. Give us number 14, please. And I'm going to read that one before I get out of here, Brother Shabaka. Number 14 of the 100 plus life extension master blueprint. Number 14 reads, similarly, most people consume beverages too fast. We're talking about don't eat so fast is number 13. Slow your roll and chew what you eat. Number 14, similarly, most people consume beverages too fast, especially those containing natural and refined sugars. Don't drink smoothies or juices through a straw, which allows these liquids to bypass the salivary glands and dump straight into the stomach. In addition, unprocessed fructose causes stress on the pancreas as the pancreas struggles to create the amylase needed to convert sugars to a digestible form for the liver to handle properly. So that's number 14. Slow your roll when having a smoothie. And the smoothie is a wonderful thing. I love my smoothies, but we all got to drink them slow. Hold them in your mouth. Hold the liquid in your mouth until your saliva doubles the volume. Then you know you are getting the proper nutrition. So that's a good one, Brother Shabaka. Thank you so much for weighing in. You've been tuned in to LIB Radio, LIB TV, and livinginblack.com. We want to be your favorite. So tell your friends, to tell their friends, to join us all. And for those of you who are here, hit the like button. That's only going to take just a second. And that will help us to enjoy the algorithms being a part of what we do. So on that note, you've been with your brother on the Conscious Rasta Report. I am Kidi Obiawadu, aka the Conscious Rasta. And this is what you and I do when we get together to do the do here on LIB Radio, LIB TV, here on livinginblack.com. Peace and prosperity to each and every one of you.